Hey everybody, my name's Travis Hancock, and today I'm going to be reading one of my favorite books of all time, The Silver Chair from the Chronicles of Narnia, by C.S. Lewis. Now, The Silver Chair is based in Narnia, which is this magical realm, different from ours, though people from our world often visit it, where there's talking beasts and kings, queens, magic, all that stuff. It's really great. Two children from our world are sent by Aslan, sort of this savior mythological figure, to come save Narnia once again, to find the prince who has been captured by this evil green witch deep underground, and she has been enchanting him for 10 years or so. And they finally find him, along with the help of one of my favorite characters of all time, Puddleglum the Marshwiggle, who's kind of like this marsh-dwelling... he's kind of very down-to-earth and froggish. Anyways, but he's kind of the hero of this little engagement that we're going to read. Now, they're underground now. They have found the witch's lair, and they have saved the prince from the enchantment. But before they can escape, the witch shows up, and this is what she does. Now, the witch said nothing at all, but moved gently across the room, always keeping her face and eyes steadily towards the prince. When she had come to a little ark set in the wall not far from the fireplace, she opened it, and took out first a handful of green powder. This she threw on the fire. It did not blaze much, but a very sweet and drowsy smell came from it. And all through the conversation which followed, that smell grew stronger and filled the room, and made it harder to think. Secondly, she took out a musical instrument, rather like a mandolin. She began to play it with her fingers, a steady, monotonous thrumming that you didn't notice after a few minutes, but the less you noticed it, the more it got into your brain and your blood. This also made it hard to think. After she had thrummed for a time, and the sweet smell was now very strong, she began speaking in a sweet, quiet voice. "Narnia," she said. "Narnia, I have often heard your lordship utter that name in your ravings. Dear prince, you are very sick. There is no land called Narnia." "Yes, there is, though, ma'am," said Puddleglum. "You see, I happen to have lived there all my life." "Indeed," said the witch. "Tell me, I pray you, where that country is." Up there," said Puddleglum, stoutly, pointing overhead. I don't know exactly where." "How?" said the queen, with a kind, soft, musical laugh. "Is there a country up among the stones and mortar of the roof?" "No," said Puddleglum, struggling a little to get his breath. "It's in the overworld." "And what, or where, pray, is this, how do you call it, overworld?" "Oh, don't be silly," said Scrub, one of the two children, who was fighting hard against the enchantment of the sweet smell and the thrumming. "As if you didn't know. It's up above, up where you can see the sky and the sun and the stars. Why, you've been here yourself. We met you there." "I cry you mercy, little brother," laughed the witch. You couldn't have heard a lovelier laugh. "I have no memory of that meeting, but we often meet our friends in strange places when we dream, and unless all dreamed alike, you must not ask them to remember it." "Madam," said the prince sternly, "I have already told your grace that I am the king's son of Narnia." "And shalt be, dear friend," and the witch in a soothing voice, as if she were humoring a child, "shalt be king of many imagined lands in thy fancies." "We've been there too," snapped Jill. She was very angry because she could feel enchantment getting hold of her every moment. But of course, the very fact that she could feel it showed that it had not fully worked yet. "And thou art queen of Narnia too, I doubt not, pretty one," said the witch in the same coaxing, half-mocking tone. "I'm nothing of the sort," said Jill, stamping her foot. "We come from another world." "Why, this is a prettier game than the other," said the witch. "Tell us, little maid, where is this other world? What ships and chariots go between it and ours?" Of course, a lot of things darted into Jill's head at once. Experiment house, Adela, penny father, her own home, radio set, cinemas, cars, aeroplanes, ration books, queues. But they seemed dim and far away. Thrum, 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 went the strings of the witch's instrument. Jill couldn't remember the names of the things in our world, and this time it didn't come into her head that she was being enchanted, for now the magic was in full strength, and of course the more enchanted you get, the more certain you feel that you are not enchanted at all. She found herself saying, and at the moment it was a relief to say, "No, I suppose that other world must all be a dream." "Yes, it is all a dream," said the witch, always thrumming. "Yes, all a dream," said Jill. "There never was such a world," said the witch. "No," said Jill and Scrub, "never was such a world." "There never was any world but mine," said the witch. "There never was any world but yours," said they. Puddleglum was still fighting hard. "I don't know rightly what you all mean by a world," he said, talking like a man who hasn't enough air, "but you can play that fiddle till your fingers drop off, and still you won't make me forget Narnia, and the whole overworld too. We'll never see it again, I shouldn't wonder. You may have blotted it out and turned it dark like this for all I know. Nothing more likely, but I know I was there once. I've seen the sky full of stars. I've seen the sun coming up out of the sea of a morning and sinking behind the mountains at night. And I've seen him up in the midday sky when I couldn't look at him for brightness." Puddleglum's word had a very rousing effect. The other three all breathed again and looked at one another like people newly awakened. "Why, there it is!" cried the prince. "Of course! The blessings of Aslan upon this honest Marshwiggle. We have all been dreaming these last few minutes. How could we have forgotten it? Of course we've all seen the sun." "By Jove, so we have," said Scrub. "Good for you, Puddleglum. You're the only one of us with any sense, I do believe." And that's where we're going to have to stop. I'm already way over time, but it was just so exciting. Thanks for listening, and I really appreciate you all coming here and listening to my favorite story. But you're going to have to read it for yourself to find out. Is Puddleglum and all his sensibility going to be able to save them from the witch? Or is the witch going to be able to enchant them and conquer everything and turn it all black as night like her underworld? I hope not. But hope you'll read it for yourselves. The Silver Chair from the Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis.